Let's talk about F1 Las Vegas GP. So the Las Vegas GP ran on the weekend, and it was this big hype. It's the first ever race in Las Vegas. It was actually most F1 GPs are run by a promoter. There's a couple that are run by F1 themselves. And this was the first one, and F1 invested, I think they said something that by the end of it, it would have been like $500 million into this event. And it was because it was F1, and if you don't know how F1 works, all of the teams share in the prizes kind of thing. So whatever money F1 makes, all the teams share in it in proportion to their standings and everything like that. And so the teams have a vested interest to make sure that this event goes well as well. And obviously there was some sort of internal memoir. No, not a memoir. Memo. I don't feel like that's right. But anyway, I know it's not a memoir. But there was obviously some internal message saying, let's make sure we're all supportive of this event. And everyone was like talking up, all the team principals, everyone was like kind of like cheerleader. Except for one person. Oh, there was a couple of people that criticized it, but mainly Max Verstappen, the current world number one. He's now 3-time F1 world champion. He's won this season and won ridiculous amount. I'm trying to remember the exact number that he's actually. I think he's won 9 races this year alone. And he actually won the Drivers' Championship like halfway through the year. That's how many races he won. But he was actually quite publicly critical of this event, that it's just a show and it's all for parties and everything like that. And people don't appreciate the work that we do. And this is a race, and we're professionals, and it's just a show, and it's all for entertainment. So, first of all, Dr. Rod, and actually, like to kind of wrap it up, the event had some issues to start off with. There was some criticism on the first night. There was a pothole cover that came off and destroyed one of the people's. Was it Carlos? I think it was Carlos Sainz's car. Destroyed his car, and he was then penalized because he had to replace his engine and all that sort of stuff. Like, it was like there was this big controversy. But after that, and there were some changes in the late night thing and lack of communication. Wow, communication. Maybe today's topic should have been about communication, Dr. Rob. But in the end, it ended up being a really good race. Most changes in leader that we've seen all year of leading the race, and it was obviously Max still won in the end. It's kind of it's still enjoyable, but it's kind of starting to get a little bit boring now. It's like, yeah, of course he's going to win, and it's like, is he going to lose today? But anyway, we are. Well, I say we because I'm grouping Dr. Rod into this, but we on this podcast are Daniel Ricciardo fans. So go Daniel Ricciardo, right? Representing the Aussies, the good old honey badger. First question I've got for you, Dr. Rod, is all the key stakeholders were kind of fanboys of this event, right? And kind of keeping their mouth shut because they kind of wanted to we talk about over promoting and over hyping. They kind of wanted to promote the spectacle and talk it up and everything like that. Should we really be getting everyone on board? And because, I mean, I've been involved with churches and businesses and everything like that, where the boss kind of and the leader gathers everyone together and we're like, right, this event, everyone's got to be on board. Everyone's got to be so positive about it. This is the best thing ever. You guys have to talk it up. And anyone who's not talking it up kind of gets, shoved off or shoved in a corner or whatever. What's your take on that situation?
Look, as you know, I'm not an expert on F1, but it seems to me that this sport, as well as many, many others, is really internally conflicted over the difference between, let's say, the skill of the sport and its entertainment value.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of sports now have built entertainment around what you might call the core activity.
Yeah.
And that was certainly the case here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
The amount of money that they spend on lighting, for example. So I think what's happening is that the organisers try to attract bigger and bigger attendance or bigger and bigger audiences. And in order to do that, they've got to go beyond those who are pure enthusiasts, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Max Verstappen made the comment that it's 99% show.
Yes.
And although that might be an exaggeration, I think there certainly is some truth in that, because it's not just the race that attracts people. So I think we've got a situation where the drivers are obviously very strongly focused on that event, but a lot of the people who attend are focused on an experience.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of tensions can arise, a lot of internal conflicts can arise when that's the case. So the organisers have really got to walk that tightrope, haven't they? Because they've actually got multiple customers. The drivers form a customer group, and then they've got two other customer groups, those who follow the race because they like the cars, they admire the skill of the drivers, and they come to see a contest between cars and their drivers. And then you've got others who come along really because they see it primarily as entertainment.
Yeah.
And so organisers walk a fine line, and there will come a time when tension overflows, as I think it did in this case.
Yeah. And actually, to kind of on that entertainment versus, your sporting event, I've actually been involved in the organisation of a number of motorsport events in Australia. The V8 supercars used to be involved in that, and some MotoGP stuff, and so I've been involved in that side from an events management point of view, and it's just an event. You turn up, and I mean, I don't know if you ever went to the Gold Coast 500, was it Gold Coast?
It used
whatever,
to, was
you know,
yeah.
I don't know whether do they still have it.
Yeah, they still have it.
Great.
I don't go.
Love that.
I
event.
don't go.
Love that event. But like most people go not for the cars. When the cars are going, most people move away because it's too much noise and it's too loud and stuff like that. But there's stuff happening everywhere that it is just an experience. Now, on top of that, you've got Liberty Media, who now owns F1. F1, before Liberty Media bought it, was this snub-nosed, like, elitist club of only the few people. Like, it was only the elite that was interested in it, and it was only for the best and everything like that. But they've made a transition over the last 5 years or so now, Liberty Media, because Liberty Media know this is entertainment. Because even before Liberty Media had it, no one was allowed to post any images or video publicly of F1. It was in breach of their copyright laws, right? Now, Liberty Media creates a whole bunch of stock footage and royalty-free stock footage and stuff like that, so that everyone now, that's why you see all these YouTube channels using somewhat the same stuff, because they understand, they want everyone to be knowing about. So I think that I think this is that challenge between, is it the sporting prowesses or is it the money? Well, you need the money for the business to advance and for it to continue and everything like that. So you need to continue to grow as a business. How much then do you? I don't feel like they've lost, because normally the question is, well, how much do you give up on your core values to then chase the money? But I actually don't feel like they have, because the racing is better than ever. I feel like the actual sport itself is amazing, and I don't think that the quality of the sport has changed. It's just the spectacle around it has changed, and it's now an everyday man's sport rather than just being an elitist sport. How do we achieve that in business? How do we still chase the money to support our core thing without forgetting our core thing?
Well, I'm the business pastor, not the business coach. Go find an expert to help you. Look, I think it's probably fairly difficult, but I do think it gets back to knowing your purpose.
Mm-hmm.
What is your purpose? And I guess the other thing to keep in mind in the context of this particular event, there were only a few drivers who publicly made negative comments.
Mm-hmm.
They had some, I guess, bad luck.
Yeah.
Because what happened in practice, and obviously there were some pretty disappointed fans, and they were there for the race itself. There's no doubt about that, because they came back for the 2 a.m.
Yes.
Practice session, and then of course they were disappointed because they were turned away.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that's led to a potential or actual class action against the organisers now. But on the whole, I don't think that it was managed all that badly, really. Clearly, there were some technical issues with the road surface, which I think ran the tyres very hot, and there were some safety concerns and so on. Those sorts of problems should be relatively easy to sort out, again, with good communication between the organisers and the drivers. My understanding is that it has been a fairly successful event anyway, and that by and large, drivers, the teams, the car makers, and the fans have been fairly well satisfied.
Yeah. So do you think, because Max Verstappen was the main one that was kind of outspoken about the negative stuff of it, and everyone else was kind of singing its praises, should have Max towed the line and just been an ambassador for it? Or like, at what point do you, as a representative of the sport, of the organization, at what point should you toe the line, so to speak, or speak the truth?
Well, look, I think as a general principle, we should always speak well of our organisation.
Yeah.
Because ultimately we want our organisation to thrive. I think the only exception to that would be when there's a genuine reason for whistleblowing.
Yeah.
Which I think is a complex area, and perhaps it's something we can talk about in depth in another podcast. In this case, generally speaking, I don't think it was safety considerations that were driving Max Verstappen. I think probably he was, he didn't really enjoy standing up there and for photo shoots and that kind of thing. As you would expect, he's very strongly focused on the driving. That's one reason why he's a winner.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think probably he should have said a lot less and perhaps focused more of his emotional energy on providing an even better experience for those diehard fans who wanted to see him drive well, which obviously he drove well enough to win. But look, as a general rule, if we don't find it in our hearts to speak well of our organisation, the wise path is to simply keep quiet, except, as I say, when there's a genuine issue about which we should be whistleblowing.
Yeah, that's good. And I don't want to go on a whole nother tangent of this, but you mentioned that Max, he just wants to focus on racing. And I think that's a lot of times, people in business, employees, we can turn around and go, I just want to do my job. But the reason why he gets paid so well is from sponsorship money and fans buying tickets and fans buying merch. And so we have to remember that sometimes not the main part of our job is not always the only thing we should be doing. There are auxiliary things, whatever, one of those words, things we need to do, in our business. Maybe it's, we've got to clean up that, maybe we don't, we've got to put the rubbish out. We've got to, clean up something, or, do stock take or whatever, those sorts of things. We've got to remember that sometimes we just need to do all of our job, and sometimes there's things, parts of our job that we don't, enjoy, that we still need to do. Hey, you just watched an excerpt from the On the Cube Leadership Podcast. If you like that, hit the like button and put a comment below. Hey, if you want to watch more videos like this, check out our channel, and while you're there, make sure you subscribe.